Oh, wait, what did I get? Yeah, the freezer. No, not really. I just like to unwrap, make it look like I'm unwrapping. But, I got to show you this. I'm Dwayne again, in case you've forgotten since last week. I know, whole week happens, but I got to show you this because I've been cleaning my mom's place for a while since I've been home, and this is probably the most interesting thing I've found. So when I was home for break, winter break, which was back in, January, December, I had some fruit cocktail along with the meal that I had. It since hasn't been taken out of the fridge, and if you've ever wondered what fruit cocktail, right there just to prove it to you, what fruit cocktail looks like, after about 5-6 months in the fridge without having been removed, that was it. I know, isn't that yummy? Anyway, let's move on to why you're here. Well, last week, obviously, you got an overview of my background, my history, my family life. Let's move on, and this time we're going to talk a little bit about some tips. I've got 2 tips for you, both from a little bit of experience and just some, general knowledge. So we're going to start off pretty easy with the tips that we have. I'm also inviting you along as actually I create a DVD here. I've actually put my files onto a disc, and it's in there, it's burning. I'm just kind of waiting for, the disc to be shot back out, but, we're almost halfway through there, which I'm really excited about because it's got a menu and everything, which, I didn't think I had a program on my computer to create a menu for DVDs, but I found one and I'm really happy with it. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to send it out to actually a local TV station, which I'm really excited about. I don't know if you know. It's KGAN. You can Google it if you want, but it's right here actually in Iowa. So I'm really excited about that. But move on. Let's talk about tip number 1. I've got 2 tips for you today. The first, of course, why do I say of course? I don't know. But the first is be passionate, and the second one is to go back. So let's start with that first one. The first one, be passionate, means, well, you've got to show initiative. You have to say that I am really gunning for this, and if it's something you're really interested in, then you have to say, hey, I am really up for this. I really am jonesing for this spot. I really want to do this. And how do you do that? Well, if you've sent your application and you haven't heard anything back from them, maybe a week, you call them back and say, hey, what's up with the hiring process? Or have you had a chance to look at my resume? Those are some ideas that you can do. Call them up, stop by. I actually had a friend, we'll talk about this in a little bit, who actually stopped by and got an interview today. She stopped by yesterday. So we'll get to that. That's point number 2. But again, being passionate, putting your heart and soul into what you do. And by putting your heart and soul, don't send your B-list stuff to something that you want for, that A-list stuff. I know that seems rudimentary. It seems, pretty elementary even. Well, don't do that. If you really want this spot, you got to be on your game because there are other people who want this spot just as much. So if you're not going to show that initiative, if you're not going to go out there, then the employer's going to watch this and he's going to see, okay, these other people are really gunning for this. Why isn't this person? So you got to be top notch in that hunt, especially in this environment, in this economy. All right. Point number 2, as we near the 70% mark here. I'm excited about this. I want to see what it looks like, but we're talking about point number 2. Go back. Well, obviously, it comes in right there. Go back. Don't drop off your resume and expect them to look at it and, receive a call within a week. Obviously, not being passionate about it, if you're really gunning for the spot, again, you're going to want to call them. You're going to want to stay in contact with them and get that, get it through what's going on. As far as going back, this actually came up yesterday, but go back, stop in and say, hey, can I see the manager? What's up with your hiring stuff? Again, this is, it relates to being passionate, but it shows that you are really interested in this spot. So go back, make sure that they have had a chance to look at your resume, or, it'll at least give you closure. If they haven't looked or if they're not hiring, it'll say, okay, they aren't looking for something. I can start going elsewhere, or I know that this is, no longer an option, no longer on the table. All right. So going back, where did this come in? Well, I actually had one of my mom's friend's daughter, I know, stay with me on this, but her daughter applied for a spot at an Applebee's here in town, and she had sent her resume about a week ago, and she hadn't heard anything back, and her mom had been bugging her and just saying, hey, you need to actually go talk to these people. You need to stop in, you need to call them something and just ask them, what's going on with the hiring process? What have you had a chance to look at my resume? Well, she finally gave in, and last night she went and talked to people at Applebee's and said, what's up? Well, she calls back as she was going over to her friend's house, and she tells her mom, all right, you were right. She got an interview for today, the day after she went in and talked to him. So there you go. There's that actual example. Yes, it did happen to me. I have had it happen, so I know that it is true. It's something that really does happen. But again, you just have to take that initiative and show that you are really interested in this. Alright, I'm going to walk a little bit because we're still waiting. We're about to 85% on that disc, so we got 15% left. And I'll show you, I've actually created this list of things that I'm applying for. I have one here, like I said, again, KJAN, that's reporting. I've got a radio part-time that I'm looking at. I've also got a camera operator position that's full-time, and then a photographer, which actually I think is more they want a videographer, but someone who also does photography, and that's something that with my electronic media degree, I know I have experience in both of those and do them. Alright, we're up to, okay. Well, we're about 85%. I'm going to take a little break. I'll be back in just a few seconds. Of course, you won't notice because there'll be a dissolve here, but we'll be back to look at how this DVD went. Alright, well, we got the DVD finally whisked out here, so we're going to take it out into the DVD player. So you'll walk with me here. And, you know, I showed you that list a little bit earlier. I hope you like that dissolve. Like I said, there'll be a dissolve there. But I showed you that list earlier of, you know, the 4 places that I have listed. There's, you know, a good list that I usually have every week, 3 or 4 jobs, and I actually just found some this week that I'm going to put up there for next week to finish some stuff. So, you know, people say this all the time, and I didn't really know if I believed them all that much, but it really is exciting, and it really is a full-time job to put yourself out there and to market yourself correctly. All right, so the DVD in the player, and we now travel up to the TV. We have a working DVD. It's pretty cool. If you're interested in what program this is, well, if you have a Windows machine, and I found this with my Vista operating system, so I don't know necessarily if it will be on all of them, maybe some later XP systems, but it's called actually DVD Maker. It's just DVD Maker. It's this little blue thing with, I don't even know what kind of symbol it is, but there you go. You can create your menus, and then that way you'll actually have, you know, if you want to put 4 files on it like I just did with my video thing, then you can have that main menu that shows off what you do, and there's a sub-menu that says scenes, and then people can go in there, and the, you know, employers can look through and say, okay, they've got one file here, another here, and they can look through and say, okay, these 3 are cool, this one as well, you know, that type of thing. All right, so those are my 2 tips for the day. Be passionate, as well as go back. If you have any comments, questions, be sure to leave them below as always. Anyway, thank you for stopping by. I will see you again next week.